car was stolen. There was nothing particularly valuable inside, nothing visible on the dash. A couple of hair ties, maybe some chewing gum, but that was it. I remember the night after it happened really well. I was just trying to relax, unwind. It had been a particularly long day, so naturally I was watching a serial killer documentary, because what says relaxation quite like that? And suddenly I thought, did I lock the car? Well, I better check, because after last night. So I paused the doco, I got up, walked over, grabbed the key, click. Right, that should do it. Relaxation to continue. And just as it's getting to that stage, you know the one, dun, 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 dun. I think, but would the clicker have actually reached the car from here? Because I'm in the lounge room and that's pretty far. I mean, how many steps? No, I don't think so. Oh, but they wouldn't hit the same street twice, right? That'd be silly, right? And if they did come to this street, there's so many cars. Why would they pick mine, right? And remember, it's dark. It's raining. The wind is howling. And this is probably the time where I tell you, I'm actually a bit afraid of the dark. Come to think of it, maybe my relaxation material isn't helping that very much. Alas, I get up and I physically walk outside and I pull on the car door to make sure that it's locked. I needed to feel like I had done everything I could to keep myself protected. And I think many of you would feel the same way and you would empathize and think this was a rational action. So why then, when we see headlines like these, when we know the average loss per incident within Australia for an individual is $33,000, and that's up 8% from the previous year, why, with all that knowledge, when it comes to cybercrime, we don't act right away? And I know we don't act right away. In fact, let's test this right now. Put your hand up if you feel fearful when it comes to cyber. Oh, like I thought, most of us. Now leave your hand up if you have ever skipped an update on your computer. You know, it pops up right as you're about to get that call. Restart required, and you say, later. Leave your hand up if you are ever reusing the same password. And yes, it does count if you have been using password 123 and you are now using password 1234. You thought that'd get them, didn't you? But leave your hand up if you've ever skipped turning on multi-factor authentication because, oh God, that's a lot of effort. You see, we're all afraid, but fear does not inspire action. Interesting, isn't it? We've got the data, we've got the stats, we read the headlines, we've probably heard about cybercrime happening to our neighbours, and yet we still don't act. And this reveals the biggest threat. It's not the hackers, it's the cybersecurity story. And in fact, today there are 3 stories we need to talk about. 1, the story that we tell ourselves. 2, the story that we tell each other. 3, the story that we tell about them. Story 1. Let's start with the story that we tell ourselves. The psychology of inaction, if you will. It'll be right. It won't happen to me. Well, I don't have anything interesting for them to take. Besides, I'm posting it all online publicly anyway, so I'm too small to be a target. This is optimism bias, the belief that bad things happen to other people, not us. Who here would like to win the lottery? Yeah, Me too. The chances of winning Division 1 in Australia, 1 in 8 million. The jackpot, 1 in 134 million. Yes, you heard that right, 1 in 134 million. And yet every day, people buy tickets. Cybercrime, the odds? By some estimates, 1 in 3. And yet, we still don't take action. This is probability weighting. We overvalue the tiny chance of reward, and we undervalue the very real chance of loss. Story 2. The story we tell others. Let's think about how cybercrime is talked about in the workplace. Let's think about the things that are done to try and protect us. If you click this link, bad things will happen. We've all done the phishing training, right? Click, now you have failed. But I know better. But I didn't mean to click the link. Why did I click the link? And instead of learning, we rationalize. This creates a cognitive dissonance. People feel embarrassed and ashamed. Those reasons might sound like, IT overreacts anyway. Besides, they're out to get me. And that's the problem. It's not the click, it's the silence that follows. And then think about how we talk about cyber in the media. Big firm suffers data breach. Front page news. Public onslaught ongoing. Now, I'm not saying that these companies shouldn't or couldn't have done more, but I am saying we are very quick to jump on the blame game. And what does that blame game do for the small business owner or the individual who suffers a cyber incident in the weeks prior? The blame game does not inspire action. Story 3. The story we tell about them. The cyber criminal. Who is the cyber criminal? If I asked you to draw them right now, what do they look like? Now, I've done this exercise with thousands of people, kids, community groups, boards, executives, and I can tell you now, about 90% of people draw the same thing. The guy in the hoodie, the lone actor, the single villain. They draw something far less sinister than the reality of what this actually is. In fact, I once did this with a group of engineers. One of them drew the guy in the hoodie, some steps, and then upstairs there was this figure. I said, what's that? Oh, that's Mum. She's vacuuming while the kid's downstairs hacking. This is the automatic assumption we make when we think of cybercrime. I had a conversation with someone earlier in the year. They work on the edge of cybercrime. They were telling me about a victim, sharing their story, the impact, the loss, the feelings of shame, the feelings of guilt. That man, his name was Michael, founder of an anti-human trafficking organization. That victim was somebody who had been trafficked into a scam center to sit on the other end of that phone. The cyber criminal, if you will. How we talk about this matters. How we talk to ourselves matters. Understanding our own psychology, the bias and the stories that shape our behavior matters. How we talk to each other in the media, in workplaces, with friends and families matters too. Because if we make this a moment of blame instead of a moment of learning, well, we have already lost. How we talk about the perpetrator of cybercrime matters too. Because if we think that we are up against this, it is very different to being up against this. So next time you imagine that image of a cybercriminal, I'd ask you to challenge it. Because sure, the kid wearing the hoodie in the mum's basement, maybe he doesn't want your data. But the transnational organised crime group certainly does. The stories we tell shape our actions, and the story around cyber is just as important as the technology itself. Changing that story could be the biggest shift. A society that is empowered, not afraid. Thank you.